Jesus Christ.
You're on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in.
Welcome.
Don, sorry about a little late getting you on here, but I was just talking about Indiana, with that win this weekend, first of all. And most importantly, something happened that even you have never seen happen in Indiana. And for that to be the case, I don't recall ever saying that.
Well, what are we talking about?
Just Indiana getting to 5-0 is something that even you, the great Don Fischer, has not seen happen.
Well, you're right. This is the first time since 1967 that Indiana's been 5-0 to start a season. So there's no question it's rarefied air that we're living in right now. It is fun. It is exciting. Indiana's ranked 23rd and 24th, first time since 2021 of the preseason.
And actually, that doesn't count. They should really go back to 2020 when they deserved it.
Right.
2021 was, you mentioned preseason coming off of the previous. So,
right.
Curt Cignetti has just done everything he said he was going to do. It's like I keep saying, if you can do it, it ain't bragging.
Right. That's exactly right. And he's been able to do it thus far. You want to quantify that a little bit, but at the same time, you're sitting here thinking, this guy's going to get it done. I mean, that's exactly how you feel about it. But I felt that way, Jim, since I first met the guy, since he came out in in that Purdue ball game, or not Purdue ball. I can't remember who we were playing that day. But,
I don't either, but it was a good one.
But he came out on the floor and introduced himself to the crowd and said, Purdue sucks, so does Michigan and Ohio State. And I went, oh, are you kidding me? We've got a guy that really knows what he's doing here. I mean, maybe he didn't know what he was doing, because at the same time, I think he was just, the bravado that he was showing there was to let everybody know that he planned to win at Indiana. And without question, here at the outset, he has done exactly that.
Yeah, and it's been fun to watch. And Saturday, a great challenge, a challenge that they needed that they haven't really gotten, because let me tell you, Maryland is a damn good football team. I know that they have 2 losses. The loss at home to Michigan State I'm like, how the hell did they lose at home to Michigan State? Because I watched them on Saturday, and that offense is dangerous. It is an offense that can strike at any time like a snake.
They can. There's no question. They have a very good offensive game plan. Billy Edwards has done a terrific job coming back after last year. Talia Tungavaloa was, of course, the quarterback in there for 3 seasons and did a terrific job. But Billy Edwards, if you remember, 2 years ago, he led them to the win over Indiana in a tight ball game. In the fourth quarter, he came in. Tungavaloa was hurt. He came in and led them to that victory. So you knew he was a quality guy, but they've got so many good athletes on that football team. And the thing that astounds me the most coming out of Saturday's ball game, and it doesn't stun me, but it's just one of those things that you sit there and you go, really, that happened? 4 turnovers in the ball game, and not a single point was scored off those turnovers off of Indiana's defense. There was no first downs given up, and a -9 yards of offense for Maryland off of 4 Indiana turnovers. That is astounding. It is. It truly is.
It blew my mind when I looked at the score at halftime. Indiana's up 14-7, and they had 3 turnovers at that time.
Right.
It just blew, but it gives you a great indication of being able to count on a defense when you really need to count on them, because Maryland, again, is as strong as an offense as they're going to face, I think, the rest of the season, save maybe Nebraska and, of course, Ohio State. But they have a really good offense, and for the defense to play as well as they did, and let me tell you, sometimes they bent, but they did not break. And they did a great job getting to the quarterback, Don. 5 sacks on the day. I don't know how many hurries, but they did not make life easy for Billy Edwards Jr.
Well, here's the thing, and I heard Aiden Fischer talk about this in the post game. They play complementary football. If the offense struggles a little bit, the defense picks them up. If the defense struggles a little bit, the offense picks them up. Look at the number of times that Indiana bounced back from a score by Maryland in this contest. Every single time, Indiana's offense answered what the defense, and then the defense answered every time that they needed to answer when the offense didn't do its job like they had hoped that it would. So it's complementary football. It's a team game, and these guys pick each other up. It seems like almost every time, and that's a tremendous trait, and that's inbuilt. In my opinion, by Kurt Cignetti and this coaching staff.
Absolutely. I just watch them play, and they have taken on the mantra of Kurt Cignetti, he's not flustered. He talks about Curtis Rourke not being so mature in the pocket, which we've talked about that all year. That is a huge, huge piece for Indiana. But Kurt Cignetti also on the sideline. You can tell it doesn't matter what's going on. He doesn't get flustered. He may be pissed about something or here and there, but he's not flustered. He's like, it's the control that they have, and that seems to transcend down to his team.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, you take on the personality of your coach. I mean, that's what most teams do. And if the coach is really a good coach and knows what he's doing out there, and you trust that, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. That gives your team confidence that this guy, he's been there, done that, got the T-shirt, so to speak. So from my perspective, we're looking at something special happening at Indiana University right now, and we haven't seen it in a long time. Granted, we've seen it in spurts. We've seen a couple of years here, a couple of years there. The Bill Maurer era produced, in that 13-year period, produced 6 bowl teams and had, multiple winning seasons. But we haven't seen this on a consistent basis in Indiana since Bill Maurer was let go. In fact, they didn't have a winning season under Cam Cameron. And Antoine Randall was the quarterback for 4 years, which is the most astounding statistic that I can quote, because Antoine Randall was the most electric quarterback that this school has ever seen. But honestly, he couldn't do it by himself, and that tells you everything you need to know about that era. So I'm totally impressed with what I've seen from Kurt Cignetti. He has backed up everything that he said when he got here. And I believe this guy has got the tools to get it done. And right now, they're proving it.
Absolutely. And I know that if we're going by coach speak and all that we can't talk about too far in the future. But guess what? I don't have to worry about that. I'm not a coach. So, and my feelings on what I think is going to happen. Obviously, I think they're going to go to Evanston this weekend and come back with a win. Northwestern is not having a great year, and Indiana just turned the ball over 4 times against Maryland, and it didn't affect them at all. So I think that they could do the same up there. 6-0 is going to happen, appears to me, which is an amazing feat, first of all, in and of itself. But I'm telling you, I see a 10-0 Indiana at a 10-0 Ohio State, which would be great for the Indiana program. I mean, just think if that were to come into fruition, I'm just imagining what that does for recruiting, what that does for respectability around the country. It's amazing now how fast you can change perception, and that's something Indiana fighting and deservedly so, but they are fighting that perception of always being a D1 football doormat. And it's hard to escape that, but man, they're doing a job of getting out of that quickly.
Well, you're taking it to a whole different level here, big boy.
Well, that's what I do.
But the reality of it is Northwestern is having a tough go. However, they've had a bye week leading up to this ball game. So they are a 2-2 team that has not played very well offensively. I don't know who the quarterback on Saturday. Lausch is quarterback early on. Now Wright has been the quarterback. They have struggled offensively, as we pointed out. Their run game, Cam Porter's a really good running back, but he's been really the only weapon they've had at this juncture. And if you're a one-track pony, you can get that stopped. So I just think Northwestern is I think that's a very good chance that Indiana will win this football game simply because they're better. And Indiana knows it, but at the same time, I love Kurt Cignetti's mindset. We're going up there. This is a business trip, and we're going to get the thing done because that's what we do. He's not going to go up there cocky and all those kinds of things and saying, we're going to beat them by 3 touchdowns. He's not talking like the pundits, us, are doing.
Yes.
So
No.
basically, it boils down to this:
He's not
Indiana.
allowed to.
No, and look, the mindset that this team has or has had for every ball game they played this year, absolutely as good as it gets. I love what I see. I think this is going to continue. We'll see how far it takes us at this point, but this is a really good Indiana football team that we're seeing, and we haven't seen this the likes of this in some time.
Absolutely, and greatly looking forward to everything that comes after this. The crowd, I want to give a shout out to the crowd that did show up. It wasn't a sold out stadium, but with all the weather that came into play, it was a pretty good crowd that stayed throughout the game. The players ran over to the student section afterwards to acknowledge that. Great to see on that regard.
I wish they would have come to the other side as well, because the west side of the stadium has the season ticket holders, those people who year in and year out have bought season tickets. And granted, Indiana University has never had the dynamic 40 or 50,000 season ticket holders like some of these schools have. Indiana's had a steady group of fans who have come to virtually every ball game for most of their lives. That's maybe an 18 to 20,000 max of season ticket holders. And we know that season ticket holders have been there before and have given up their tickets because of the frustration with the program and not winning on a consistent basis, those kinds of things. But so I do think that the fans that were there Saturday on the west side, the press box side, I wish the players would have come over and did the same thing to them, because that group stayed the entire game too. And they usually do. In fact, they're the ones that are there after the students leave at halftime for most of these games over the years. So I'm not sitting here chastising the football team for not doing that. They did what they were supposed to do, and
it was an in the moment kind of thing, and
right. So look, I have been one of the great critics of our fan base for a long time from a football perspective, and on Saturday, that went away. It was really special for those people to stay, for the student body to stay.
To show up into that rain.
Well, Kurt Cignetti's a little social media call out to those guys to do what they did, and they responded to that. All that stuff is tremendous. But now this team's proven at 5-0 that they're the real deal, and we need to see that on a consistent basis weekly, and sellouts need to be the factor that we need going forward.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case going forward, though, Don, because you got Nebraska coming in next. So you're going to have great matchups there. So thank you. Appreciate you as always. And we've got the Inside Indiana Football Radio Show coming up on Thursday. Don hosting at Hoosier Hanks East. Coach Kurt Cignetti. He's really become a character on this when he does this. This is when you can really get a glimpse of Kurt Cignetti. And I'm telling you, for people who think he's this way and that way, he's not whatever you think, because he's got a great sense of humor. It may be his style of sense of humor, but he's pretty funny.
He is funny, and he's quirky. I've used the word quirky on him since he's been here. Jeff Kane kind of turned me onto that term at the very beginning, in the first weeks that he was on campus, and I think it's a proper term for Kurt Cignetti. He's a little quirky, but he is fun. He's a guy that believes in himself. He believes in his system, his philosophy, and man, is he right.
I wonder why. Well, yes, undefeated 5-0, heading towards 6-0. I appreciate you, Don Fischer, so much, man. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you at the presser later on.
All right. Thanks, Jim. See you.
You bet. The great Don Fischer joined